active minds, active people that are really up to a lot, often have so much going on that they begin to get overwhelmed by it all. I choose not to do what I don't want to do. I choose to do what I want to do. And I want to be doing what I want to do all the time. If nothing else is going on, I get time to spend some time on it now, I will do that. But I know it's not so urgent that I can't be present for whatever's happening right now.
Welcome, everybody. You dialed into another edition, another episode of the True You podcast.
Boy, that dates you. Dialed in.
Right.
People don't dial anymore.
That's true. But we still refer to Zoom meetings as calls as well, don't we?
Yeah.
As you can hear, I'm with my co-host Bill Tierney. My name's Martin Kettle.
How did that flow? Okay, was that all right to say it that way?
I noticed I stumbled at that time. I had to stop and think, what am I going to say? Not partner, but co-host.
There it is. Just for the listener, before we hit record, Marty's saying, I always call you my partner, but then that kind of implies so many different things. And what else would I call you? And so I made some suggestions, and he landed on you landed on co-host, and I love that podcast co-host.
Well, and we have other relationships too. We're friends, and we're also members of a group of coaches that call themselves the Coaching Excellence Team. So we have other connections besides this podcast as well.
Well, and a lot more in common too. It's okay to say so. I think you've said so on the podcast. We're both in recovery.
Both in recovery. We're both bald. We're both in our 60s.
No, I'm not in my 60s.
Oh, you're no longer in your 60s. That's right. You're 71 now.
Yeah, I just turned 71.
No.
Yeah.
You better grow
so
up.
we can just say we're both old. Okay,
we're both old.
Yeah.
So we were talking before getting on the podcast today about projects and having lots of projects, and also coaching people who have lots of projects, and how exciting it is. And yet, you at a certain point, you want to wait, am I keeping track of it all? Am I moving everything forward where I need to be? Am I over my head? Is it too much? How do I organize all this? There's all these things come up when you're involved in a lot of stuff that's important to you, and that ultimately needs to be prioritized in some sense. This is something that a lot of active and curious people wrestle with, and so we thought we'd talk a little bit about how to best go about that today.
There's a lot of aspects of this, and there's a lot of ways that we could go about talking about it. The first thing that pops into my mind is that active minds, active people that are really up to a lot, often have so much going on that they begin to get overwhelmed by it all, and it gets disorganized, and that can be very stressful, even anxiety producing. We might just call that aspect of this conversation the log jam.
Okay. Yes, I've been log jammed myself many times.
Yeah,
in my life, and had to find a way out.
Yes, and so finding a way out can produce negative consequences if we're just escaping, like ending a job, ending a relationship, severing a bridge, withdrawing from commitments, doing it so abruptly without consideration for the impact on others. That might bring temporary relief. Then it comes with just a whole pile of repairs that eventually are going to need to be made, or other workarounds just to manage how it feels to walk away from something you've made a commitment to.
Right, exactly.
Or it can be brought back into balance and something that's much more manageable, if approached in a very thoughtful and compassionate, I would say, way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And then another phase of this or part of this is organization. How do I organize myself
yeah.
and this project?
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to suggest that maybe we just approach the conversation from the perspective of the coach that helps people that come to them with
Mm-hmm.
this challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I have talked about how you coach and how I coach. The framing around a coaching session for me has gotten illuminated to me. It's gotten pretty clear
Mm-hmm.
that the client wants something. We could call that the coaching objective.
Yeah, I always say, do you have a coaching request? What is it you request? We look at.
So the objective would be the overall umbrella that all those requests would fall under, in the way I think about it.
Okay.
I want to know, when a client comes to me, what are you hoping coaching will help you accomplish? If we're successful, how would you know? That kind of question. And then we frame that in such a way that we have a clearly stated coaching objective. And sometimes we'll make it a clearly stated aspirational vision for what life looks like once that objective is achieved.
Mm-hmm. Right. So objective is covers the whole coaching relationship. A request is usually for a particular hour together.
Right. Specifically in this hour together, what is the outcome you wish? What is it you want to discuss? What breakthrough? I mean, there's 1,000 different questions we can ask to establish that. Mm-hmm. And by the way, if there's coaches listening and you don't already realize this, consider that the entire coaching session, the entire hour or 45 minutes or how much time you spend in coaching could be spent just fleshing out the coaching request. And that would be a great benefit to the client.
It is. It is indeed. Yeah.
Because it brings about clarity.
That's right. That's right.
And clarity is one of the 8 C's, and not that we need to limit it to the 8 C's, but it's just one of those experiences of tapping into innate resources. It's like priming the pump of now more will flow. If I can get clear about what it is that I want and don't want, if I can get clear about what is the problem, if I can get clear about the plan, and I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. So once we have a coaching objective, for me, it's important to understand the gap between where the client is now as they stand in the desire of that of achieving that objective. Mm-hmm. So we need to establish that gap.
The gap between where they are now and where they want to be.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And often, more often than not lately, I'm noticing that the best way to establish that gap is to recognize the pattern or the cycle that the client finds themselves automatically, involuntarily stuck in. Mm-hmm. That produces the result that they're getting now, which is also known as the problem.
And one other thing about establishing that gap, talking about the gap, which is where this cycle occurs, is currently in that gap, is how do you want, Mr. Client, how do you want to measure that? Like, do you want to measure that in dollars and cents? Do you want to measure that in hours of free time? What would be, or is it the way you're going to feel? And what is that? And how will you measure that? So that
measuring,
yeah, we have metrics, and we can know whether or not we've gotten there or not. I know people who never seem happy because they haven't said what it would actually, how you would measure arrival.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. How will you know? How will you know you've achieved it?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I like the aspirational results statement, because it describes what life looks like once you've arrived there.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So now let's see if we can apply this. We've got an objective. We've got a problem that makes that objective desirable. And there's the gap between those two. And then the third element would be the plan. I know what I want. I know what's causing me not to have what I want. And now what's a reasonable, logical, workable plan that will help me to get to the objective.
Yes, I want to say something about sometimes they don't know what. How did you say it?
The problem, the gap.
Problem.
Oh, right. That's where a lot of the coaching is.
So they might not, be able to. Oh, yeah, the problem is this, and they might not know. It's like, I don't know. I've been working at this. I don't know what the problem is. So
right.
There might be some real work that goes into what the obstacle to having what they want is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, and that might not be the best word, but sometimes it's a pattern of behavior, like you said, cycle. And so there's something to see about what gets that cycle going and locked in.
Yep.
But it could also be like something in the way, something in the way.
Like an external constraint of some sort.
Could be external or internal.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. Well, and I'm going to just suggest that what's in the way will show up in a cycle or a pattern. Because when it gets in the way, then we're going to do what we do about trying to move it out of the way or giving up or whatever that is, and then find ourselves either giving up or trying harder or whatever we experience until we find ourselves right back and faced with whatever's in the way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm just allowing for that. There might not be a cycle yet.
Okay.
But there still be an obstacle.
Yeah. There doesn't have to be. There doesn't have to be a cycle. It's just that.
I'm just myself when the famous episode of my life where I hit a wall as an academic, but there was no cycle of doing anything yet. I just knew I'd hit a wall, and that the obstacle was, doing more of the same, continuing on this. I didn't want to continue on this path, but there was no cycle that I was caught in there. It was just like, oh, this isn't what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Right. Yeah. Got it. Well, if there had been a cycle, recognizing that you didn't want to do that for the rest of your life probably broke you out of it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If there was. So I want to offer up the experience that I just have been wrestling with as an example of this.
Great. Perfect.
So I'm going to just ask you to be coach, and I'm not asking you to adopt what I just laid out as the framework, although it might be useful if you did, like establishing what is it that I want, mm-hmm. what gets in the way of me getting in what I want, as you say. And then if we can get clear enough about that, that'll establish, oh, well, then clearly that's the problem. If that were resolved, then I would have much greater access to achieving the objective that I want, whatever that is. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, then we would put together some sort of a plan. Like, so what are we going to do about it? How are we going to solve this problem? What are the steps? Mm-hmm. Like, you want to do that?
Sure. Is there a problem?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Well, there's an objective.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, there's 7 of them.
Got it.
There are, and the reason I can tell you that there's 7 of them is because I got some coaching yesterday around this state of always being so urgently pushing myself to make progress on all of these different projects. Mm-hmm. And feeling almost overwhelmed by it to the point. And by the way, all of these projects are necessary. They're important. I value the outcome that I wish in each of the projects very highly. Mm-hmm. These are things that are important to me that I want to accomplish.
Right.
They aren't the problem. It's just that I have so many of them and so little, hours in the day to do it. And there's, the rest of my life too that wants my attention.
Right.
So that's both the problem and the objective, which would be bring it all back into balance,
Mm-hmm.
make a correction so that and this is what I learned yesterday, make a correction so that I stop saying yes to everything that I get excited about,
Mm-hmm.
and know what my capacity is so that I can have balance in my life. That's my desire. That's my objective.
Okay. Well, I don't know if this is coaching, strictly speaking, but overwhelm, I think, is the first thing to address. Because you can't make a plan and get committed to it and carry it out if you're feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Well, you could, but it wouldn't be any fun.
Yeah.
So I think the first thing is overwhelm is the symptom of having everything look equally important. It's like you got all of this in front of you, and there's no order to it. That's when we feel overwhelmed. And does that apply? Does that sound correct here? Does that hit the mark?
Pretty close. The equally important, I think of overwhelm in relationship to my capacity, not so much in relationship to how many things I have to do. So
Right.
I feel when I say I feel overwhelmed, what I'm really saying is I'm using up all of my capacity.
Right.
And it feels like I need more capacity than I have.
And what I've observed is that when we're in that state, like I'm at capacity, like I got all this stuff going on, then what helps bring down the level of overwhelm, make it disappear, is to know what order you can do things in.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So it's like, oh, now I only need to look at this one thing. I don't have to look at all of them right now. I know that I'm going to get to all of them. I want to get to all of them, and I will, but I don't have to be managing them all at once. I can start with this one and then the next one, and like that. So putting them in an order. And I think that involves using the criteria of urgent and important, because some things need to get done right away, even if they're not important. That it's urgent that we get done. Like, my leg is bleeding, get me to the hospital. We'll talk my plan to deal with these projects later, right?
Really good. Urgent and important. What's that called? It's a
distinction that Stephen Covey made in the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
And it's a four box metrics, right? Matrix.
That's correct. That's correct. There's urgent but not important.
Mm-hmm.
Like the phone's ringing, and it's an urgent thing to get the phone to stop ringing, but it's a spam call, so it's not important at all.
Yep, got it.
Then there's important and not urgent, like your workout today, your exercise today. You could go without for one day, but it is important to exercise.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Then there's important and urgent.
Yeah.
Like my leg is broken and bleeding. I need to get to the hospital. So, that's both.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's neither. Things that are
not
neither
important
nor urgent, like eating another donut, smoking another cigarette. Neither urgent nor important.
Yeah. Okay. Love it. So I wonder if we can look at each of these 7 projects that are swirling around. By the way, I stopped at 7 because these are all things that I really am excited about doing and looking forward to what it's going to feel like when they're completed.
Great. That's
there
awesome.
are several other projects that I could add to the list that are less exciting, much less exciting, but let's just maybe stick with these 7.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you think that it would be important to bring those other things in as well.
I want to bring another level in too before we start looking at them, and that is that there are more urgent and important times, right, to work on projects. So certain projects, it's important that you work on them first thing in the day, and other things that, it would be fine to work on it, while you're watching TV, something like that.
Yeah. When's the best time to focus on it?
Right. So if we're looking at putting them in a certain order, like actually, I have clients work as quickly as possible into getting time blocked in the actual calendar, not just like a stack on a piece of paper of priorities, but where do they actually go in the calendar? Then we want to take into account when, in your week, you would actually address each of them. Some of them might need to do during the week because they involve working with other people while they're at their desk, and others, I can do this on Saturday because it doesn't involve that.
Really good stuff, Bill. Yeah. That makes so much sense. I haven't thought about time blocking for a while.
Well, this is what I always find, that this is what it ultimately comes down to. Where does it fit in the actual calendar? Like it's one thing to have abstract priorities, but where does it actually fit in this coming week?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so what is all of this suggesting to you as you look at your 7 projects?
Well, I'm getting some clarity about why it feels so overwhelming, because for one thing, there's an internal argument about what we want to be doing, what my parts of me want me to be doing.
Good. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm really excited about this compassionate recovery project that I'm creating. So I'm excited about it. So, but looking through the lens of important and urgent, it does have some urgency. I've kind of backed myself into a corner with the start date that a group starts. And it's important because it's immensely important, because I think it will begin to address and solve a problem that is very far reaching in the United States and in the world probably. And that is the nature of recovery. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's both. It's high on importance, high on urgency. I wonder if Stephen Covey would mind if we added a third consideration to important and urgent, and that would be exciting. What's the word I'm looking for? Inspired. Help me with this.
This is what he would say. That's a dimension of importance. If it's inspiring to, that's important.
I see. Okay, that's why it's important, because I'm so inspired by it. I see.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you use the broken leg. It's important to get that set, because if you don't, your leg may not heal correctly. It's urgent to get it set because you're in pain. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so the thing that popped for me just now with the time block and where does it fit on your calendar was, I guess I need to know, what are my deadlines for all of these things? Good.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's right. Because sometimes, I'm just talking now for the sake of the listener, that sometimes something's more urgent. You got to get this done by Friday, but it might not be the most interesting, inspiring, and to you important project. But that tells you what to address first. It helps give some order to this, overwhelm.
Yeah. So project number 1, the Compassionate Recovery Project, I've got a deadline of April 27th to have a big chunk of this done.
Okay.
So that I can deliver week 1 of the program, of the project. And the next one is...
Can I ask you, before you move on, how many hours of work do you have there, but that you need to put in between now and April 27th on this?
Are you in a profession that helps people discover, cultivate, and express their true selves? Are you a coach, a therapist, a spiritual leader, a health professional, scientist, writer, speaker, or other specialist that recognizes the power and value of authenticity? Would you like to be a guest on our podcast? We're looking for guests to bring on the show to expand this exploration of the true you. You'll find a link in the show notes to use to introduce yourself and start that conversation. Oh, man.
What do you need to do?
I need to feel good about what I'm presenting in week 1.
Okay.
And I really should feel good about what I'm going to be presenting in week 2 so that I'm not under real high pressure between weeks 1 and 2.
So you need to plan 2 presentations?
Plan first 2 weeks for sure. And those first 2 weeks have to be, and I have to plan all 9 weeks far enough, at least in an outline, to see that these 2 weeks support an outcome over the next 7 after that I want to achieve by then.
Okay, got it. And what does that like involve? Working at your desk or taking a walk and thinking? What kind of work is it?
It's working at my desk, reviewing the curriculum,
Okay.
having it reflected back to me just by reading it on the page, and noticing what happens inside when I consider, is this really what I want to be saying?
Mm-hmm.
What's missing? What elements are missing? What else needs to be said here? What would the actual interaction of the group be? So lots of that stuff.
Do you think that if you put in 1 hour each week between now and the end of April, that you would be at that point where you had 2?
No.
No. Okay.
No, this is more like 4 or 5 hours a week, probably.
4 or 5 hours a week. Very good. Okay. And
if I had 4 or 5 hours dedicated, uninterrupted, that I could give to this project between now and this deadline that I've set of April 27th, I'm confident that I would be able to deliver the program that I want to deliver. High quality, I'd be prepared, I'd be confident, and all of the logistics, all of the mechanics that need to get built around it would be done.
Now, you could write that down in your notes right now, 4, 5 hours, or you could open your calendar right now and look and see where does that time actually occur, and put a block in there to do this right now.
Right now, while we're talking during this podcast.
Well, yeah, I mean, if that's pushing it, then just
maybe not. I guess. Yeah, bear with me a minute. Let me pull up the calendar. You can continue to talk to our listening audience as I'm doing this.
Yeah, so you begin to see, like, I just worked very intimately with the calendar, but you could just make a note. Okay, I've got to look for this time in my calendar. You could do that, but I find that as soon as it exists in space and time in your calendar, a level of overwhelm starts to come down, right? Like, it's going to happen. I just have to show up for this appointment I just set with myself, and then it's done.
Very good. Okay. Yeah. So I just found a couple of hours, and I've already put in at least that many this week. So if I just start taking a look at next week, actually, I think I could probably make it all up by this weekend and get this week's in.
This is the kind of thing, if it were me, I would want to get all the work done in the next 2 weeks, and then have, 2 weeks to mull it over and, comb through it and refine it.
Mm-hmm.
That's just me,
Yeah. This is brilliant, actually. Okay, so now I've got next week covered. Now I'm looking at I got 2 weeks left to get this done. There we go. One more. Boom.
So while you're putting that in your calendar, we started with this because this has an urgency about it. It needs to be done by the 27th of April. And so the next thing to do is to look and see, because you've said these are all important to you.
Yeah.
So that helps, because now we can just worry about the urgency of each one from that point on. But if we have people listening and they're like, well, I'm not sure that all 9 are equally important, then that's another factor to weigh. You want to get the urgencies done first, but it's good to know, like, okay, I have this much more important thing, the thing that really going to mean a lot more to me. It's going to have much more significance in my life. And so, it won't start for 3 months because I got all these urgencies now, but I've got it in my calendar for 3 months from now. I'm looking forward to getting to this important project that it doesn't have all that urgency to it, but it's in the calendar. So I'm not going to let the urgencies that arise between now and then get in the way of my starting that project 3 months from now. I've already carved out time for it because it's important.
Well, and the other thing that I did that made this move, what we're doing right now, a little easier for me to do than it might be for others who haven't got this in place, was the clarity that this is my top priority.
Great.
This is my most important project right here. It's
Very
both highly important and urgent.
Yeah, no, but that's a good thing to say because, if whoever you are, if you can look and say like, well, this is the one that really means the most to me. This is what's most important. That's very helpful. You've already started to put things in order, and that's the name of the game here. That's what gets us out of overwhelm.
So let me just, between now and my first group meeting, I've got 4, 8, 10, 12, 15, 17 hours scheduled,
Awesome.
which is one more than the minimum that I said I would need to have. Actually, no, that's great. That's plenty. And I feel confident that I'll be ready.
Great.
That'll give me all the time I need. Super. So then we move on to the next project.
Yes.
And that is, I'm going to probably move what I have placed as my number 2 priority. It is probably no longer number 2 because while it's important to me, it's not urgent. So it's important, but not urgent. And therefore, it's probably not number 2.
When I have something like that, I will go ahead and, just make an arbitrary box for myself on Saturday. Okay, I can't think about this now, but it's really important. So I make a box on Saturday morning and I know that, okay, there's a place for it. It's not going to get lost. There's a place for it.
Right. The next 2 projects are equally not as important, not as urgent. They're all important, but not as urgent. What's more urgent is project number 7, but I've got to wait on something else to happen before I can even start the project.
I see.
And it's out of my hands, other than pestering the vendor that I need to get this from, which I've been doing plenty of.
So you don't know when you will hear back?
I don't. I've been promised delivery on this for the last month, and they have not followed through and done what they said they were going to do. So it is creating frustration and adding to my overwhelm that I have no power in order to advance this project. We'll see. I'm on the verge of, if there's one more delay, I may just drop the project altogether.
Yeah. Is there a date by when you would say, okay, I've done everything I can. I haven't heard from them. Now, today, is that something to put in the calendar? Like, if I haven't heard from them by this date, I'm calling to say I'm not doing it.
Yeah, that's good. Yep. Really good. What is that? What is that deadline? I think that deadline is a week from Friday. So 10 days from now, basically. Yeah, that's very good. That actually helps me to relax in this moment, knowing I'm not going to let this string me along.
Good.
This was important enough to pursue it and tolerate total BS customer service for the past month because I really want it to happen. But if it can't, this is indicative of what I can expect to have happen if I have any problems with the system that I'm trying to onboard right now in the future. If it's this hard to onboard, what it's going to be like if I have a problem to deal with.
You're right. Right. Yeah.
So, all right, I'm going to add a deadline there to my calendar. So deadline for fill in the blank. I'm not going to say it out loud. I don't want to trash them.
Okay.
Although I sure feel like it.
And I don't know about you, but I put that at the end of the day, like at 5 o'clock. I'm not doing any more work, but there's a box there that says, if you haven't heard from them yet, tomorrow morning you say, I'm out of here.
Yep, that's right. Very good. Okay, so that kind of takes the urgency completely out of that. I've done as much as I can do. And if I don't hear back from them and we don't have it installed by next Friday, I just withdraw.
Great.
So I see that number 5 moves up to number 2. Because there is some urgency to that. I've already got that on my calendar. Number 2 works into 3 now. Number 3 turns into 4. And then number 4 turns into 5. And 6 and 7 pretty much stay the same.
And I just want to add, sometimes I've had the experience myself where I think this is the order that I want them in. And then once you get working on them, things change because you're dealing with other forces and you have to wait on something, or this is, going to take longer than I thought. Some things change and you do have to reorder them and give notes to yourself when to get back to them. So that does happen. You have to be flexible in that way.
Yeah.
So what's the next one?
Recording an audiobook of my part 1, the first book of 3 of my memoir. And I've got 27 of the chapters recorded already. So I need to record 13 more chapters. That's going to take me about 3 hours.
Okay.
Maybe 4.
And by when do you want to have that done?
I want to have that done this weekend. So I just now blocked the time. I've got it. So that's,
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really find it very helpful. It's got to, I always go back to what's got to fit in this calendar. This shows me the time of my life. If it doesn't fit in there, then I'm just talking, into the wind.
By the way, what I just now did, and if somebody was paying really close attention, they're going to say, but wait a minute, didn't you say that was going to move back in priority? I realized, no, I don't want to move it back in priority. This is really so important to me that I want to make it urgent.
Okay.
It's a self-imposed deadline. It's not one that anything or anybody else is imposing on me.
Good.
I just want to do it because it's that important to me. Right.
I love it.
And this falls into the category of, let's see, this weekend will be okay. This falls into the category, and this came up in the conversation yesterday too, of I only do what I want to do. And I want to do what I want to do all the time. So there's 2 different aspects of choice here. I choose not to do what I don't want to do. I choose to do what I want to do.
Yes.
And I want to be doing what I want to do all the time. And that sounds really selfish. But what's interesting about this is that it's energizing to know that I'm only doing what I want to do. And if I fall into the trap of thinking that says, oh, I don't want to be doing this. It was on my calendar. When I put it on my calendar, did I think I didn't want to do it? What happened? Why did I change my mind? Or is it simply that I need a break? There's something. Do I have an unmet need? Do I need to walk away from the desk? Do I need to walk around the block? Do I need to get a drink of water? Do I need, if I eaten recently? Something like that. Meet the need and then step back into it again and realize, oh, okay, no, I can remember now. I remember now why I wanted to do this. And I have the capacity to meet it, to be able to do it.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also want to just underscore like that. I like that you're choosing. Yeah, I want to bring this forward. It might not be as urgent, like in terms of an external deadline, but I want to do. I often myself will do the biggest, hairiest stuff first, so that I know that everything else is downhill from there. I got the big, ugly, hard thing done first. So now everything else is going to be much more pleasant. Now. And I'll just put that first on purpose.
Yeah.
So there are these various criteria that we can bring to bear to give things order.
Yeah. Well, you've given some real nuggets here. I mean, what I'm taking away is the importance of time blocking. That lit up a light bulb that hadn't been lit for a long time. I mean, I use my calendar, but not as efficiently as I could. I realized today. Setting clear intentions. How am I going to use my time? How am I going to use my life? What do I want to be doing in that life? Generally, I can say, well, I'm going to be doing whatever I want to be doing. But but then it gets down to the specifics. Well, what do I want to be doing on Saturday from 8 a.m. till noon?
Right.
I got an invitation from a friend to go golfing, and that's nowhere on my list here. No, his friendship is on my list. It's not on this list, but it's a priority for me. It's important, but it's certainly not urgent. And it's not something, spending 5 hours with him on the golf course doesn't override how urgent and important these other projects are. So what I did there was I blocked out time 4 weeks from now after I meet this major deadline.
Right. I mean, and just on the general topic, there are things in our lives, they're different for each of us. Like spending time with your spouse would be an important thing. If you didn't get to do it today, it's not super urgent. There might be an urgency at some point, but that's an important thing. And so, or like, your exercise is an example. We said, many people have a morning routine that it's very important to have the time in the calendar for that. And so, when you go to compose your schedule, these important things go in first, so that then you work urgencies around them. And if you get distracted or called away from, like you're in a chunk of time in your calendar that it's important that you are doing your morning routine, let's say, and the phone rings. Well, you're doing what's important now. And so you want to have time to return that call, but you don't want to make the mistake of doing something urgent during an important time.
Yeah.
Right. And so, for some people, this means, posting on your door so that the administrative staff knows, these are the times I've got blocked. So, I'm not to be disturbed during those times.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or if somebody comes into your office, or says, hey, can I talk to you right now? Well, not now, but here's when you could come. Right? And so that you guard these times, because they are important.
Yeah. Very good. Before we end, there's two things I want to do. One is to go back to like the structure of coaching conversation that I started out with, talking about the log jam, the log jam of being overwhelmed. If a client comes to me or you as a coach, what's the process? And I wonder how closely what you and I just now did today followed that. So the objective, had clarity about the objective. I believe I wanted to, I didn't want to feel so overwhelmed. I wanted to be able to manage these projects in a much more balanced way. I believe is what I said.
That's right.
Yeah. And that was my request, is that you act as coach and walk me through this so that I can find a way to not feel so overwhelmed and feel more balanced. Have a plan for how to accomplish all that I want to accomplish, but feel more balanced about it.
And on a scale from 1 to 10, how close do we come to the mark of?
I think a 10. I mean, I'm confident that I can get the most urgent thing done on time. I'm confident that I can either get the second most important thing and an urgent thing done on time, and if not on time, very close to on time.
Great.
The challenge there is, can I do it without throwing myself out of balance? Do I have to be extreme about the time I dedicate to project number 2 in order to get it hit by this pretty aggressive deadline that I gave myself, which is like 4 days from now.
Okay.
So I'd say I'm probably at a 10. Yeah. Feeling far more balanced and well within my capacity.
Good. Awesome.
Yeah.
Good. Clear.
Well, and we established the gap because we established the problem. We didn't name the gap, but the problem was clearly established. And that was that I didn't know when I was going to do these things.
Right.
The way I've been doing it is every chance I get.
Right.
And so if my wife's talking to me or something or someone else needs my attention, I'm either a little distracted thinking about, okay, is she finished talking to me now so I can get back to getting this thing done? Or so knowing it's on my calendar, okay, yeah, if nothing else is going on, I got time to spend some time on it now, I will do that. But I know it's not so urgent that I can't be present for whatever's happening right now.
Great. Yeah. I mean, even other things like, well, I got to drive to the store to pick up the milk, but gosh, I'm bothered because I have these other things I got to do. Now, I got that in the calendar. No worries.
That's so funny that you say that, because Kathy and I went grocery shopping last night. I had my phone with me and I was working on this number 1 project as I was while she was looking at oranges and lettuce. You want to go get this and that? Yeah, I'll go get it. And so I got those things and right back on my phone again. So yeah, we established what is the problem. I hadn't clearly reserved the time in my life to do these things. It was just now. That was the only answer to that question, is now. And everything else that everything else that needed my attention was getting in the way of what I really wanted to be doing, because I didn't have this time reserved. So that was great. And the plan, now I have a plan, and that's the last piece. I have a plan that will solve the problem and help me get this done. And given that I already had in place that they only land on my projects list if I want them to want to do them, if they are both at least important to me. Right. Great. And then the last thing I think that we should address here before we say goodbye is, what the hell does this have to do with the true you?
Well, for one thing, the things that you put in your calendar, to committing your time to, this shows us what the true you is. The true you are these commitments, and that's why we take care of them and make sure that there is time for them, because they're an expression of the true you.
Well, you talked about measuring, and with each of these projects, there's a deadline to hit. I know what I'm going to deliver by this particular deadline, and that's a way to measure. There's also the measurement of milestones along the way. So if between now and 3 weeks from now, I want to be able to do this group and be prepared for it with confidence, then where do I need to be in 2 weeks, and where do I need to be in 1 week? And that's another way to measure along the way, to make sure that I'm doing the progress. But the honest, authentic self-expression is the best evidence that I'm being who I really am, my true you.
Yes.
Is that if when I'm honestly, authentically expressing myself, I'm internally aligned, and then that, I can't think of a better measure of how I'm perceiving and then choosing and then acting from my authentic self.
Right. I agree. And on the other, side of it, like when we're in an overwhelmed state and some new information comes in, or somebody needs something from us, or your wife wants to be with you while you shop or something like that, then your one is not as likely to respond from authentic self, but it's going to be from this dizzy sort of.
That's right. Exactly. Well, wonderful. Thanks for the coaching.
You're welcome.
It was excellent coaching. I really appreciate it. And, I began this process yesterday looking at the parts of me that can't say no to anything I get excited about. And that got me as far as it did, and it was great. I ended up with a plan. The conversation with you today, the coaching that I got from you today, really fine-tuned that plan. And as you saw, changed my priority. And in fact, I'm gonna have to redo all of that because it's all scribbled now. But yeah, very good. Thank you so much for the coaching.
You're welcome.
And listener, thanks for listening. If you've listened to this entire time, I hope you'll continue to listen. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks, Marty.
Right.
We appreciate who you are, that you would be listening to this podcast, and want to acknowledge all those parts of you that yearn for the experience of the true you.
If you like this episode, click like, share it with others, and be sure to subscribe. Listen again next week for the newest episode.
Check show notes for a transcript and a link to resources, including a link to let us know if you'd like to be a guest on our podcast.
Thank you for listening and going on this journey with us back to the true you.